Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets are in trouble. One imposed by the refereeing process against the OKC in the second round of the 2025 playoffs. The foul baiting of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has gone out of control, and when another player tries to copy him, he doesn't get the same treatment. In such a sensitive matchup where both of the MVP candidates faced off against each other in Game 4, a very controversial sequence of events happened that raised the question of the biased calls the referees are making. Let's dissect this a little bit more. If we are to look at this clip, we are going to see that SGA is using one of the oldest tricks in his book, foul baiting. It's not illegal. There is nothing wrong with it. It's just annoying, and the opinions of the fans are divided as to whether or not this should be tolerated by the refs anymore. Nevertheless, SGA made the shot and got the foul over Jokic, completing the three-point play. You could see that Jokic was visibly frustrated with the call, and when he rushed on the other end, he was determined to make the same call. He got the contact with Isaiah Hartenstein while already picking up the ball, scored a very difficult basket, but the refs decided to not count it. Yes, you heard that right. The foul on Hartenstein was called on the ground, and Jokic shot free throws only because OKC was in the bonus. Can you imagine how pissed off he was? I have never seen him jump as high as he did, and it's obviously hurting him that he can't use the same tactics that SGA uses against his team in a constant manner. At this point, we cannot help but wonder, what do the NBA players need to do in order to get the same treatment as SGA? I'm guessing nothing, because they are never going to be treated like the point guard of the OKC either way. The head coach of the Nuggets, David Adelman, was quite straightforward when it came to why his players weren't treated the same way that SGA was, speaking particularly about the play against Jokic. In the postgame conference, addressing this question, Adelman said,
"Yeah, it's kind of like, with Lou Dort when you screen him. You hope there's a give and take. If Shai is allowed to use his off arm, which he's very good at, you hope they'll allow us to at least have some impact with his body. It goes both ways. But that being said, the guy's so hard to guard regardless. I mean, I thought Christian did a great job late in that game of getting his hands up and away, and showing the referees that his hands were not in there. Because he is a foul artist. He's an amazing player. And that's one of the big things. You can't let him and Jalen just stand at the free throw line the whole game."
I have never, ever seen a coach compliment someone with a rapt insult. The fact that everyone recognized SGA as a foul artist goes to show that he is definitely exploiting something that the others aren't. But at what point does this stop? It's not the regular season anymore. We are not having any of these calls, and the referees need to be a bit more serious about this issue. SGA cannot always get away with calls like this, and even though Jokic had more free throw attempts than the OKC guard, we can easily say that the calls were not even similar in nature. I mean, there are sequences where SGA got away with pretty blatant foul baiting situations. Just look at this instance against the Detroit Pistons. It was clear as a sky that SGA used his left hand to pull the defender, Asa Thompson, into his body and then draw a shooting foul on the play. The call was overturned after a challenge, but the fact that the referees are continuously falling for it goes to show that something needs to change drastically. This is something that posed a problem for Game 2 as well. According to Aaron Gordon, the referees made some pretty bad decisions throughout the entirety of the game, leading to an early exit of Jokic because of fouling out at the end of the third quarter. On the other hand, Gordon feels like Jokic, while being defended in a very physical manner, has only gone to the free throw line 5 times throughout the entirety of the game because of the inconsistency of the referees. Elaborating on this, Gordon said, "If they are going to let them push them and shove them or two hands on them, root them out, the knee, you got elbows and all types of stuff they are doing to him, that is not necessarily legal. There's not much that you can do. Jock got to play through it. If they're not going to call it, they are not going to call it. But they are fouling the guy. They are calling the second foul almost every time. They are fouling Joker first, and then Jock is reactionary, and they do get the second foul a lot of the time. But they are fouling him, point blank, period, throughout the game. You can't call every foul, or you'd be calling a foul every single play, but they are fouling him." This was the disastrous loss that the Nuggets endured against OKC, where Jokic ended with a mild 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists on 6 of 16 shooting. being only 3 from 5 from the charity stripe. Game 4 ended up with 14 free throw attempts from Jokic and 12 from SGA. And this is primarily what the fans are using as a defensive argument for SGA. Every superstar uses their off-arm. Jokic does it too. There comes a point where, if you can't get away with push-offs, you have to question your existence as a superstar player. And when it comes to Jokic, he also uses a lot of arms and elbows when piercing through the defense. But he isn't fully reliant on that, just like SGA is on his free throw attempts. And what needs to be added is that Jokic needs to draw a lot more contact than what other centers in the league draw in order to get a call from the referees. One fan suggested that the fact the referees are treating Jokic like they treated LeBron is resulting in Jokic actually turning into LeBron, complaining about every call. If we are to look at the numbers, they are telling another tale. Throughout the first 4 games of this matchup, SGA shot 37 free throw attempts, whereas Jokic shot 36. The Nuggets shot more free throws in general, 125, whereas the Thunder shot 112. Still, the average weighs in more towards SGA in the general playoff picture in 2025, shooting 8.3 free throws on average per game, and Jokic shoots 6.4 free throws per event. The fans are having none of the takes from the referees. One fan wrote, "NBA is ruining the game." Another one has gone on to say that the only fans in the world not accepting the gameplay of SGA are the OKC fans, adding, "Only delusional OKC fans will continue to deny how lopsided SGA's whistle is." Everyone is angry with the way the officiating is kind of going more towards the side of SGA. However, on the other hand, Jokic is adamant that if his team wants to win the series, he needs to be a better player on the court. Shooting 0 from 10 in Game 3 and a combined 4 of 22 from Game 2 to Game 4 will definitely not bring him to the chip for the second time in his career. And in a situation like this, you cannot really put all of your hope in the referees and the foul-baiting manner. Elaborating on what needs to change sooner rather than later, Jokic said, "I mean, it's a little bit of everything. They are playing really good defense on me. They are really into my body, handsy and physical. And I think I missed like 2 or 3 open looks tonight, so it's a little bit of everything. They are shrinking the ball, they are shrinking the floor for me, and they have a guy behind the defender, so it's a little bit of everything, you know. I need to do a better job, of course, but it's part of the game." So, what's next? SGA will definitely continue with the same high IQ gameplay of trying to foul bait everyone on the opponent's team, while Jokic and his squad would have to pray that they won't shoot as criminally bad as they did in Game 4. Of course, everything is in their hands, and even though they are the underdogs here, the postseason experience helps them to a great extent. But the disgraceful playstyle of SGA is something that needs to change sooner rather than later, and the league needs to set an example out of the OKC's point guard, because there is no need to make the game contactless in general. With all this in mind, what do you think about the atrocious calls that were called upon Jokic? And more importantly, do you think SGA is treated differently compared to other players on the court? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.